In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why traditional therapy routes have not been able to beat binge eating in my case and many clients that I've supported, and what they actually need instead. And stick around because this answer may not even surprise you, and I think it's well within your grasp. But a lot of people think that when they have a problem with food, they need a psychologist, a therapist to fix it. And I don't think that is a redundant activity. I don't think it produces zero benefit, but I think what they need is something completely different, something more practical. And in this video, I'm going to talk about that practical strategy that helped me and has helped dozens of clients repair their relationship with food, exercise, and their body that I've supported over these last 2 years. And if this is the first time you've seen a video from me, hello, firstly. My name is George Barnstable. For a decade straight, I struggled with binge eating and body image. And over the last 2 years, multiple years, actually, I'd say 3 years now, I've completely flipped that on its head. And I now use the learnings, the teachings, and the practical experience and personal experience and failures I've had to now help people achieve that same feat and that same level of transformation. So let's get into the video and let's talk about why therapy doesn't actually beat binge eating and what you need to do instead. So firstly, I want to address, in my opinion, why therapy won't eliminate binge eating. And there is no level of understanding what trauma or what happened in your childhood that is going to make you resistant to binging when you really want to. It's just not correlated. And in fact, what you need in that situation is a practical strategy. So what my approach is yes, we need to know what we're needing when we're wanting to binge, but we also need a practical strategy, right? We also need to know what to do in these situations. So I urge my clients to look at a binge urge or resistance from binge eating in a twofold way. The first being, what do I actually need right now? Or why did I binge? And then the second being, what do I actually need right now? So by asking these two questions, we're able to understand the underpinning psychology as well as the actual practical things that that person needs to go do. It's kind of this blended approach, right? And typically when we binge eat, it's one of two things, and it's not always psychological, right? A lot of the time it's practical, right? A lot of the time it's because we've underfueled. No psychologist is going to help with that, right? Separately to this, there's no level of kind of psychology or internal work that is going to help you from like not binging if you haven't eaten enough in that present day, right? There needs to be an equal respect on both. And we need to ask ourselves the question of why we binged. And sometimes that is, I was lonely, I was stressed, I was anxious, I was bored, I was sad, depressed. Sometimes that's the case. But a lot of the time, it's because you haven't eaten correctly over the day. Like a lot of the time. Found it so much with myself, and I find it so much with my clients that I support as well. Very rarely do they binge when they actually just have a really solid structure over the course of their day. And what is this solid structure, you may ask? Well, it's incredibly simple. It's just making sure we are eating to hunger. And I'll dive a bit into this in a second, but part two of that question of why you binged and what to do now is the what do I do now, right? And this is also that practical element, because let's say you wanted a binge or you did binge because something was going wrong in your head, right? You were lonely, you were tired. That what do I do now is your answer, is what you go do. right? That is the practical thing that you go do, right? So if you're lonely, go meet someone. Call your mum, call your friend. If you're stressed, sad, go do something that you enjoy, right? Take a walk, enjoy some time. But a lot of the time I find that the binge urges aren't just psychological, they're not just in your head, they also are very much driven because practically you haven't been eating right, you haven't been eating enough over the course of the day. 9 times out of 10, that's what it is, right? Someone misses a meal, they didn't have breakfast, something happens in that regard. And then simply what I need you to go there for and do is make sure this doesn't happen tomorrow. It's the biggest reason people get stuck in that cycle of binge eating, like multiple days of binge eating, right? And it's because what you do is you binge eat on Monday. Let's make it a bit more realistic. You binge eat on Saturday or Friday. Let's call it Saturday. So on Sunday, you try to make up for it. You loads of exercise, maybe you drop your calories, maybe you don't eat anything at all, you just drink water all day. And then what happens is hits like, 2 p.m., 4 p.m., you haven't eaten anything. An hours of cardio and you are dead. So you have a little bite of something and then you can't stop because you've starved your body all day. It is in dire need of nutrients and food and energy. And then you binge again. And then you say, all right, this isn't going to happen tomorrow, but I can't do it the same way, right? No, so on Monday, you actually just, maybe you skip breakfast. And then you go into lunch and you go into dinner. But then what happens is when you have dinner, again, you are underfed during the day. Your body doesn't know the reality of its next meal, right? So you need to give it that trust, that internal trust and knowledge that we have food coming every few hours. And if you starve it of that, it's going to go back into survival mode. It's going to go into a mode hundreds of years ago where, just like animals today, we don't know the next time we're going to eat is, right? We don't know when we're next going to be able to consume food. And it goes into that kind of primal like instincts. And so it binges, eats everything in sight because it doesn't know where the next time it's going to eat is. And then on Tuesday, you have this light bulb moment, well, hopefully, and this is what helped me so much, right? Is, hey, I need to have breakfast, right? I'm going to have breakfast. So you have breakfast. Maybe it's a bit lighter than usual, right? But you listen to your hunger. You don't eat past fullness levels. You have something light, even if it's just a piece of fruit. Something to kickstart your metabolism. If that's even a thing, I think it's a load of bollocks, personally. But something to get your body going in that respect. Get your hunger, your appetite going. And then maybe you have something a bit later. Maybe at 10, 11 a.m., you again have another short snack, for example. 12, 1, 2 p.m., you're having lunch. Maybe a few hours later, you have another snack. 5, 6 p.m., you're having dinner. And then again, maybe 8, 9 p.m., you're having another snack. And then you're off to bed. And that's how you break that loop. You just fuel consistently over the course of the day. You eat to hunger and to energy. And it is as simple as that. And I know it probably feels really scary because I get it. I used to say no because I want to lose weight and I'm going to put on weight if I eat like this. Trust me when I say you will lose more weight doing this than you will going in circles with your binge eating and restricting. Because for all the days that you lose a kilo in a day fasting or not eating anything at all, you put it all right back whilst binge eating. And let me tell you something as well. The mental cost that comes from binge eating is not worth it, right? I would rather lose 5-10 kilos over 6 months than I would lose 20 kilos over 6 months, right? Well, let's just make it a bit even. I would rather lose 5-10 kilos over 6 months instead of 5-10 kilos over 3 months by doing it completely sensibly, completely sustainably, very slow, very controlled, very approached, than I would doing that same weight loss journey in 3 months, but I was binging here and there, and I was restricting my calories, and it was a huge uphill battle because I wouldn't know that I can sustain it. I wouldn't have any trust in myself that this is going to sustain itself long term, right? Because I hadn't done it in a sustainable route. So what we need to do is make sure that this journey of sustainable weight loss that we're trying to enter is truly sustainable. And the only way we're going to get to that point is if we enjoy that process, and if we really feel like we are aligned with that. I'm rambling now, so that's a very good time for me to end the video, because I've noticed that I start to ramble and then I go off topic. So I will do that here. If this has helped, what I want you to do is I want you to also consider looking at other videos on this page, because very likely if this video helped, there's going to be a heap of others that do. And if you are looking for more kind of free support, I will put a link to the kind of practical strategy that I use with all my clients to help them end their binge eating down below in the comments. It'll be a free email that will be sent over to you. And I will also put a one-to-one coaching link in there. If you're interested in finding out a bit more about working with me, fixing your relationship with food, with exercise, with your body, then tap that and you can register your interest in working with me online too. Have a good day.